Hey, Melissa, thanks so much for, I guess I should say, being the guinea pig on an on-air strategy session.
Yes. I've always dreamed of being one.
Okay. So I have a couple of questions before we get started. Of course, I read your intake form and I have a good idea of some strategies that I think we can use. But I think one of the first things I just am curious to understand, how are you feeling right now? Like, I don't mean as a business owner, I mean right now, me and you looking at me in the video screen about to have a strategy session. Are you feeling comfortable? Are you feeling nervous? Are you feeling like, yeah, let's do this? I'm just curious your mindset where you are at this moment.
I would say it's a mix between a little nervous, but then also like, Luann, just give it to me straight. Just
Okay.
tell me the truth because seriously, I think it's a blend. It's a mix of, oh my gosh, what is she going to say? But at the same time, I know you're going to speak truth.
Okay.
So I'm ready to go. I'm ready
Okay.
to go with butterflies, but let's do it.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So that is a great place to be, by the way. That is a
Okay.
great, great, great way to approach this and have the outlook to it. Okay. So we described in the intro basically the dilemma that you're having. So my question to get started is, your core question is, how do you get more high-end clients and retain them? So for clarity, I'd like to understand, what does high-end client or high-end project, what does that mean to you? Because that is like a word like luxury or expensive. It really it is such a subjective word. And so for me to help you get where you're going, I'd like a better description of what it is you're visualizing as that type of client.
That is a great question. High-end client to me is not necessarily somebody who's rich, who has this endless amount of money and doesn't have a budget. It's somebody who, number one, not a DIYer. That's not who my ideal client is, but somebody who values really good design, somebody that understands that it is an investment into your home, into your family, to your lifestyle, and somebody that is not going to flip out when I'm presenting to you pricing, right? Somebody that's going to allow me to have the creative freedom to give them something that they could not achieve on their own, right? To allow me to show them what is possible rather than coming to me saying, I already know what I want. I want you to shop here. I want you to get this. This is I'm not for you.
Okay.
So high end to me is somebody who, again, they understand the value of interior design. It's not just, hey, copy what I saw on Pinterest, copy what I saw here. It's somebody that values the design, the process, and that it's and understand that it's an investment.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I don't know if that makes any
No, it
sense.
makes complete
Okay.
sense. It makes complete sense. So I think by describing what you want, I have a good idea of what kind of client you're getting, but give me just a brief description of what kind of client is coming through the door and what is the disconnect.
I feel like they're getting better. However, I feel like I'm getting clients who say that they want what I just described, right? But then as we start peeling that onion back, it's not.
Right.
And so I think they come in, the clients that I'm getting are the ones that already kind of have their minds made up about exactly what they want, how they want it to be, but I just don't know how to do it myself. But then as we start to go down this rabbit hole and I'm asking questions and I'm trying to get in their head and I'm trying to really get an understanding of what it is they're wanting, because I feel like I often hear what they say, but it doesn't really match what they really want once you
Right.
start to dig deep. So I feel like we get there and they're all excited and they're on board, and then as I'm explaining my process, I'm explaining how, my fees and what I charge, what that includes. Then it's like we get to the scope of work presentation, and then it's kind of like, oh well, Melissa, I think we're just gonna kind of maybe just do it on our own, or maybe we'll just kind of, we'll pause and we'll kind of think about it, or, oh, well, maybe, we'll just go a different direction. Or the worst part of it is they ghost you. The ghosting. I'm not digging the ghosting.
Okay, so there's a few things in here, and there's a few ways I want to attack this situation that you find yourself in. The first always begins with who and how are we crafting our messaging? Like, how are we crafting our messaging, and who is it attracting? Okay,
Okay.
so when I read your website, it is legitimately conflicting with who you want to work with. It is
Wow.
literally like I am finding multiple places where you are in sometimes overt ways, but also in little tiny subtle ways, literally contradicting what you're saying. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, for
Okay.
example, I'm going to put your website in front of me.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it says, let's show you what's possible, right? And
Okay.
it says this one paragraph: maximize your investment. You are discerning of taste and quality. You value and trust the expertise of an expert, your designer, and approach the design process in a research collaborative way. Right there, you're telling me that it's okay for me to show up with Pinterest pages. Okay. You're telling me it's okay for me to sit there and go, well, how about one of those instead of two of those? Okay. Just
Okay.
subtle things. You are outcome driven and value the result over everything else. Okay. So right there, we did a contradiction. Like, outcome driven means show me the stuff, I'll like it. But
Okay.
collaborative and research says you're going to do some work, sweetie, and I'm okay with that. Okay, it's
Wow. Okay.
completely opposite. All right. More importantly, here's the money line. More importantly, you have a vision for your home and you're willing to make the right investment to achieve it. Like, no, if when you want high-end clients that want to do what you want to do and that want you to lead the project, you don't really want them to have a vision for their home. You want them to have a feeling for their home. You want them to have an idea of what it is. You're the visionary.
Got you.
Think
Wow.
about that,
Yep.
right?
I didn't think about that.
Right? You're the you
Wow.
you have to craft yourself as the expert. You have a feeling of what your home would like to be like, and you want results. You want someone to deliver that feeling to you in a tangible, room design. Like,
Wow.
those are not copywriting words that I'm using right there, but I'm getting to the point.
Got you.
So do you see how in this one paragraph we're back and forth? We're like, hey, come with me with your DIY ideas and then work with me, and we're going to collaborate, and we're going to, like, we're going to shop together, and we're going to, like, eliminate things together. And then we're like, hey, but you want results, right? You just want to sit down and have the results. It's like, because, and how do I know this? Okay. I know this from 1,000 interviews. I know this from reading 1,000 websites, but I also know this because in your other part of your website, I just lost it. Here you go. Save your time. You are high performing, closing those big deals and running a company, but you want the best. You see, right there, you just talked to me. Okay.
Okay.
You talk to
Okay.
me like you're like, hey, who are you? But then when you come over here and you say to me, you want a process that's research and collaborative, I'm like, no, I don't. I just want the result.
I don't want to do all that. I'm
Right.
creating schizophrenic clients, Luann. Okay,
Yeah.
I get it.
And so what's happening with that is
Oh my
they're
gosh.
self-selecting. The ones who want to be this, like, I want to be involved and I want to show you everything and blah, 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 and that have unrealistic expectations are finding themselves in your website and are saying, hey, hand up. But I have to tell you, people like me, if that's who you want, if that's really your ideal client, in addition to what you said, is those high performing people that are busy, that just want things done and don't want to be bogged down from designer concept to final reveal and everything in between, we will take care of it so you have the time to do the things you want to do. See, there, you're talking my language, right? But
Yes,
what
ma'am.
happens is the person who is more, you know, a combination of DIY and thinks they're finally going to, like, have a luxury designer at their beck and call, right? But is wanting to be researching and wanting to be collaborative and wants to say, how about this light? And how about this rug? They're just going to ignore that. They're just going to ignore
Right.
that thing over there because they're going to say to themselves, well, yeah, I'm busy. I'm busy, like, but, I'm gonna spend 5 hours of Pinterest every week, helping my designer.
No,
Right?
don't help
Okay.
me.
Right,
I got
exactly.
you.
So it's a very clear disconnect, okay? And
Wow. Okay.
okay? The
That's good
thing
though.
Yeah, the other thing is that in your about page, this is not so much a disconnect in who you're attracting. It's just a disconnect in information. I love, you listen to the show, Melissa, I love when designers have, any type of really buttoned down Eric Award transferable skills. So military service is that all day long, right? Like you get process, you get procedure, you get like
Yes.
things have to happen on time the way it should go, right? The thing is, what I need you to understand is your garden variety consumer has not listened to 1,000 episodes of Well Designed Business.
True.
They don't make that connection. So when you have more than a couple of paragraphs telling me about your military experience, but you don't translate for me why that's important in a design project, I'm just lost in the weeds. I'm just like,
Wow.
okay, great. So she was in the military. Yeah, you let me thank her in person when I see her because I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? But like, it's like with 2 decades of military experience, I've learned the importance of discipline, structure, attention to detail, and the value of teamwork. These principles form the foundation of my approach to design, ensuring that every project is executed with precision and care. We're right there. We're almost there. But what happens is, think about it. Having you just told me that you listened to the podcast since
Yes.
2019. Every person listening, we all know design. We all know these are critical. But the thing is, you know, I don't really like ensuring that every project is executed with precision and care. You know what I'm thinking to myself? How hard is it to get a sofa in a living room?
Right.
Right? Like literally,
Right.
how like
Yeah.
it's funny because in all the years that Vin and I and Billy ran Window Works, I remember it took me probably, I'm going to tell you, a good 8 or 10 years until I had a major aha moment with what Billy, who was our lead installer and our third partner, did in the business. Now, for 8 or 9, 10 years, I'm selling window treatments, he's installing them. And we weren't the kind of company where I would go on the install. It's like my partner's on the install. I don't need to be there, right? It's
Right.
like daddy's putting the kids to bed. Do I have to do it too?
Right.
No,
Right.
I'm
No.
pouring wine. Let's get going here, right?
Yes.
so so the thing is, I had complete faith and trust in Billy, and I was not the kind of retailer that would go on the install. Okay. But the thing is, I can remember one time, you guys all know my cousin Eileen Hahn. So this is going back. Christy was in 8th grade. So she's 35 now. So that's how long ago I learned this lesson. And Eileen wanted her home with all new window treatments, and she wanted me to help her decorate and accessorize it a little bit. And I went out there, and then I went back out 2 months later for the install with Billy, because now I was going to actually do some accessorizing and stuff with her. And because we're going to California from New Jersey and Billy's going to stay in our house too. It
Oh,
was like, let
wow.
me just go and plus it was fun for me and Eileen, right? But the thing was, I'll never forget. We get up in the morning, we all have coffee and breakfast. It's like 9:30. Billy's going to start working in the family room, and I am going out to the shops to start accessorizing for her. Okay. I take her credit card, I take her car. I'm like, I'll see you later. I come back at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and Billy is still working on the same drapery rod than when I left him.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
And
Wow.
I'm just like, hey, buddy, what's happening over here? And he's like, well, sweetie, we've never worked with these rods before. He said every single component is separate. The carriers are not connected, the brackets, this. He went through the thing. He said, and I have to figure out the calculations for a rod combination I've never worked with. He said, oh, and don't forget you ordered a double rod setup, and we've got a lot higher and a lower rod, and you ordered the drapes at the same size. Thanks, that's not good, right? And so the thing was that I had that at that point 10, 15 years experience in the business, and had no idea that an experienced window treatment installer could take would have that situation just because it was a brand new rod company to him, that it could impact the install time. So when we make an assumption that somebody
Mm,
understands and carries through what military experience means and that precision is needed in job management, you got to do a better job of telling me about that. Like,
okay.
so whatever that language is, that's like from coordinating production schedules, from coordinating trades, from making sure rough plumbing is in, and, like you want a certain kind of, stove, but do you have the BTUs? Like, I don't know the words I'm talking about. You
Right.
know me.
It's okay.
you
It
know,
sounds good. It sounds good. I get it. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. Right? Like, I remember the first time Kathleen Anderson, she teaches Design for Construction 201, and her entire class, 5 weeks, is based on the things you need to understand when working with the individual trades. So, like, there's a week on the electrician, a week on the plumber, and it's a combination of every mistake she's made in nearly 20 years in business, every assumption she's made with that particular trade, and every go around that she's created to mitigate that her and that trade sing together on the job. And when she first described it to me, I was like, Kathleen, I don't get it. Like, what does it mean? And she goes, well, let me give you an example. Early in my career, I'm all who I think I am, and I've got luxury clients, and I'm like, oh, we should do this big spa bathroom. We should have a shower and a spout and all the crap that goes on with 19,000 things in a spa
Right.
bathroom. She said, and we spend thousands of dollars on all the different widgets and the hardware and all the stuff. And she said, and I get onto the job, and the plumber's got like one spout there, one faucet, one shower head, whatever it is. And she's like, where's all the others? And he's like, there's no rough plumbing for all the others.
Oh, she forgot all.
She
Yeah.
didn't know. It was the
Yeah.
first time she ever did it. Right.
Uh,
And so my point is, she's a designer. Now, maybe she was a designer 5 years at that point, 3 years. I don't know. But the point is, people don't know. Designers don't always know, let alone people. Okay. So your military experience is extremely relevant, extremely, but draw the line to me on why. And you don't have to do a 6-page blog post on it.
right,
You
please.
know what I'm saying? But don't just say, I'm great at details. Tell me why in 3 or 4 more sentences how come the details matter. Another thing you could
Wow.
do is, if you ever had an experience like that, like a Kathleen Anderson experience, you could create a blog post that says, you know, the value of my military experience. Like,
Oh,
the checklists
wow.
make me crazy and make everybody else crazy, but this is how, one time I avoided this dilemma, right? And then
I love
that
that.
lives as a blog post with more explanation on how your checklist and your background impacts, because what we all know is that you're coordinating painters, carpenters, window treatment people, tilers. But you know what? And that's just like 4 people on a list of 12.
Yes.
And at some point, each person that engages with a designer kind of thinks that, but I don't think they really get it.
They don't.
No,
They
right?
don't at all. You're
Right.
right.
I mean, I just was in one of the Facebooks yesterday, and somebody was saying how their client, the male partner in the client duo, was on the job, like yelling at the plumber for not no yelling at the GC for not having the brick on the house, and the GC is saying, I can't put the brick on the house until the plumber has done something. It might have been the roughing. And I don't know if that doesn't make
Right.
sense. You're all like, that's not a thing.
It's okay. It's fine.
Then I missed
I
it.
get it.
But the thing was, he literally was just like, I don't care what hasn't been done. When I come back here tomorrow, brick better be on my house. I
Right.
mean, people are just like ridiculous.
Mhm.
Like, they don't know what they don't know. Now,
It's
that's
true.
somebody being unkind and disrespectful and being a you know what.
For
But
sure.
but there are just people with good intentions that have no idea of the details. So, my secondary
Okay.
thing for you is to connect in a meaningful way, in a tangible way, how that military experience benefits me on our design project.
Well,
Because the way you have it written, I'm like, "Oh, she's great." but like I don't connect it to me.
I get that.
Yep.
I get
Okay.
that.
Very good.
I'm not connecting the dots. I'm
Yes.
not, it's okay. That's
Exactly.
great. That's so
Exactly.
good.
And then it continues. You said my little military experience has taught me the significance of adaptability and resilience. I've had the experience of being apart from my family for 6 months or more, living in trailers, tents, shipping containers. These qualities are reflected in my designs where I seamlessly blend functionality and beauty. I don't see that. I don't see how that happens. Okay. I'm just telling you, face value.
Yeah, no, this is good.
Just as military transform individuals, our design transform spaces. Here's the thing, you are, this needs to be cleaned up. These one, two, three, four, five, 6 paragraphs about your military design, you are so close, but you are, it's almost like the other example. In one sentence, you're telling me research and collaborative. The next sentence, you're saying just you,
It's
I just want to show
conflicting.
up with the results. So just, it needs better copywriting. And you
Okay.
have, what it is you know the benefit and you know the connections and you're just assuming too much for us.
Okay.
Okay. And
Okay.
I also think that, here's the thing, be very clear on who your target client is, because if this is truly your target client, high performing, closing those big deals or running a company, but you want the very best, there's so much to do and it feels impossible to get it done. First of all, don't put that there. There is
Okay.
much to do. I'm here to get it done.
Got you.
Okay, like I'm not copywriting for you. I'm just giving you a
No,
tip
I
off the
understand.
top of my
Yeah.
head. Time is something, don't say we can never get more of. Time is something you can never get more of. Let me give you your time back from design
Wow.
concept to final reveal, everything in between. I will take care of it. You go do what you do. Okay, so just what I'm saying is, you may do some reflection, and I do think that you should do some reflection. You said to me that you have my first book, um, and I hope you have the Power Talk Friday Experts Volume 1 book. Like, you've got the branding exercises with Nicole Heimer from Gloria and Brand.
She's
Do,
amazing.
yes, right?
Yeah.
Do some deep reflection on who really is your target client, because if you are 1000% after doing some reflection and doing some exercise, and you can Google, how do I decide who my client is? You can put it in the collections in my podcast, and there's, lots of exercises from various guests. But if ultimately that description is your target client, you need a lot more bullet points for me. Like,
Gotcha.
when you create that, when you convert that 6 paragraphs of your weaving through your military experience and how it impacts your design, now you want to start to bullet point, because I'm not going to read all of it.
Gotcha. It's
I'm
too
just not.
much.
Yeah, I'm
It's too
just not.
much.
I'm not. I don't have time for it. And you can, in one hand, tell me, are you the busy person that needs time? And then give me a homework assignment to figure out who the heck you are.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
not saying, the thing is, you might actually do some good, deep reflection, Melissa, and find out, oh, actually, that hardcore wackadoodle really isn't my target
Right.
client, right? And therefore, somebody with a little bit less, is going to want to read. I would tell you the episode with Sharon Sherman.
Okay.
She went through the 4 personality types, and she, liked them to earth, wind, fire, and
Hmm.
water. Of course, we could talk about A driven personalities, whatever it is. But the episode with her, she talked a lot about figuring out your personality type and identifying the way you communicate, and then also she gave a lot of tips for dealing with the other personality types once you have a handle on who they are.
Okay.
Okay, because you may truly want to work with the crazy pants, get it done, don't bother me personality type. You may or may not be that personality type yourself. So your website might be talking to you instead of me. Okay. And
True.
okay. And then to
That's
that
true.
end, I will also tell you the podcast episode with Christina Fry, Frei. Now, she took the personalities, she calls them archetypes. She took them based on marketing. And so the big lesson in her podcast episode, and then going to her website and getting more information and getting on her email list and getting her products and services, is exactly that. It's like, she helps you identify your archetype and then helps you talk more into it. So it's an either or. Do you want to work with your type of personality? And if you do, the archetype will help you speak to that. And if you really don't, then Sharon's episode will help you say, oh, when I'm this way, but when I speak to that, I got to make that adjustment. For many years, right? Like I was an
Nice.
in-home, shop at home salesperson. Okay. I am a fast talker. I want to get to the point. I just want to get things done. And I really don't want to debate between off-white and linen with you. I
Right.
don't. It's the dumbest conversation on the planet. But literally for 40 years, I had to do it. I had to act like it actually mattered. Like,
Right,
"Oh,
right.
this shade of off-white 025. Yeah, wonder what's better. Is it linen 024?" Like, stop. Like, I just like put, like I just want to take a sledgehammer, right?
You're
But
like,
right, exactly. But the thing is, on a daily basis, I had to leave my personality type on the front step. And I had to come in, open mind, open heart. Who am I meeting here in their home? Am I meeting somebody who is more of an engineer, analytical personality and is going to want the explanation of every blasted thing? And am I meeting with someone who, really does want to be a part of that collaborative process? And let's debate, off white and linen for 15 minutes like it matters, right?
right.
Like I'm needing to meet this person where they are, okay?
Okay.
I'm needing to help them on this journey because if I ignore their personality type, then I'm never going to find out truly what they need from me in order for this to be a success.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's a lot of getting very clear on who you are and who you want to work with, and then translating it into copywriting. So, who did do your copywriting, you or a professional?
So both. And I reached out to a company to help me kind of figure out the brand messaging, right?
Mhm.
But I think that's the problem because I'm not going all in.
Right.
Either I'm gonna do it myself and probably struggle with it and not actually speak to my who I want to work with, or just invest all in and have somebody that knows what they're doing,
Yeah.
knows how to do it, they do it every day, and they do it for me.
Right. So, guess what you just described? You just described you are the client for the copywriter that you as a designer cannot stand. Right?
Yes.
You hired me as a professional, but you want to have an opinion on every blasted paragraph.
Right.
And so
Tartar
basically,
sauce.
we together screwed it up. You didn't let me do my best work, and you have no idea what you're doing with copywriting. So
None.
yay,
None.
you
That's not
know?
what I do. Yeah.
Exactly. So, like, it's hysterical on the daily how designers do this. They literally, bitch out customers, clients
Right.
who are like, "I'm sorry, trust me, I'm the professional."
And then we turn around and
Exactly.
yet here we are.
I watch it all the time. It's hysterical, and I love it.
Oh
So
my
so here's the
gosh.
thing,
Help
we have
us.
many copywriters on that have been on the Power Talk Friday experts, from Nicole Heimer to Deb Mitchell to Masha Cohen to, there's others. I'm
And I
mistaking.
follow all of them too,
Yes.
and I love them. And I'm like,
Get
Melissa,
hooked up
just
with
do
one of
it.
these ladies. Get
Yes.
hooked up with one of these ladies. See which one feels right with you,
Yes.
resonates with you, and
Okay.
literally do the exercises to figure out who you are and who you want to work with, and then go for a bullet point, go for a bullseye on that. No putzing around. Okay.
No
Now,
paragraphs.
yeah. Well, I'm not saying no paragraphs. I'm just saying
Right.
you got to make them. If you really are, if I'm really
Yeah.
your target client, you got to make it readable. You got to make it skimmable. What you have to do is it's okay to have paragraphs for my personality, but whether it's headlines, that make me go, oh, well, okay, wait. And then I'll go read the paragraph if the headline grabs me. But if
Gotcha.
I just look at like 6 paragraphs, I'm like, whatever.
Pass,
You
pass.
know,
I don't
you
have
hear me,
time.
I don't open my
Yeah,
own emails. I
I know.
can't. It's like, get away. Like, no.
I don't have time. Yes.
It's I don't want to make the time. I don't have. It's just no. And so Mariali, she goes through them. She's like, "I'm sorry, sweetie. This one you're going to have to deal with." All right, dang it. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Now the other thing I want to say to you
Yes,
is
ma'am.
your services. You are telling me that you want to work with full service, but you're giving me 19,000 options that have nothing to do with full services. Okay. So
Okay.
you are giving me a choice of 1 hour virtual design consultation. You are giving me a choice of just an in home design consultation. Then you give me full service interior design. Then you give me designer for a day. And then you give me designer by
Designer
your
by your
side.
side.
Okay. Then you give me concept only floor plan design. So you are telling me in 16 different ways from Sunday that I really can be a piecemeal client.
Wow.
Like,
Ooh,
how dare you be
ouch.
surprised
I
after
know.
you give me the presentation and I say,
Yeah.
never mind, I'll take it from here.
You're
You've
right.
not made it so that I'm like, wait, what? Right? Now, I will tell you, here's the thing. There is a difference between aspiring to where we want to be and being there.
Yeah.
And we all have to run that path to getting there. It's like starting the marathon and crossing the finish line. Very different things. And the road in between is really hard, right?
Right.
And that doesn't mean there aren't parts during a marathon where you're like, oh, now here's all my endorphins. I'm on autopilot. This feels great. Then all of a sudden you hit a hill and you're like, dang it, this hurts.
Mhm.
Okay. So the thing is, from a practical standpoint, I understand to make bank, to keep the lights on, to build your business and build your client base, that doing designer for a day and doing concept only floor plan and doing these things are all valid things that many of us do when we're building our business, right? Even
Yes.
like when I've talked to some of the biggest design firms in the country where everything on their website is full service only, only full homes, like they're not even doing floors anymore. It's like only full homes. When I'm not going to say every person that comes to your mind when you imagine that kind of design firm, but let's just say I've talked to probably 5 out of 5 that I've talked to. Oh yeah, in order to keep the lights on, we'll take a one floor project for a repeat client or the child of a repeat client or the referral from a repeat client, but you're not going to find it on the website. Okay.
Okay.
So, what I'm saying
That
is,
makes sense.
I understand the need to build the business, to expand the client base so that you ultimately are building your referral base for years to come. I understand the need to actually make money to get to the next month. But there is a difference between saying, I am full service luxury and offering every which way
50
of
million
work
things.
along with me, beside me, do it yourself you want. Okay. And so a lot of times, what I suggest that you do is that it depends on where you are in your business, Melissa. We didn't get into, and I probably won't get into, if we were,
Okay.
like if this was a chairman of the board session and we were getting together for the first day, we would have 3 hours and I would go into your revenue, your last 3 years revenue, how much you've paid yourself, all of that. But let's make an assumption that we'll make two assumptions. One assumption is that your revenue is good, that you're making good top line gross revenue. It feels healthy year to year growth, and that you are paying yourself the wage that you would get if you worked at minimum for someone else with your skill set. You see, I meet designers all the time that are doing a million and a half revenue and are paying themselves 50K. I'm like, at a
Okay.
million and a half, you should be making 150K. Okay. And so that let's make an assumption that your personal income from the business is in line with your gross revenue, and that you are regularly not stressed out about paying car payments and health insurance payments, that business is going well.
Okay.
If that's the case, then it seems to me that's almost like I've crossed a little hurdle. I've got some confidence that 2024 is going to be as good or better than 2023. I know that have consistently paid myself. I, might have dreams of doing better, but I'm not like waking up going, holy crow, how are the lights getting paid?
Right.
When that's the case, then we've passed that little line and we can put those services on dark. And what I mean by dark is
Mm.
we lead with our target client, we lead with our target project, we lead with the services that we want to do best. But when we have an intake call and somebody is like, oh, you know what? I saw your website, I this and that and the other thing. I'm not ready for full service, whatever the language is where you get there. But all of a sudden you hear in your head, this would be a great candidate for designer for a day. Like she or
Okay.
he sounds like a normal, rational human being. I have rapport with this human being. They don't seem like the kind of person that doesn't understand agreements. And what happens is in that moment, you can say, I have to say, I hear what you want, but what I do is full service design. And this type of approach that you're describing is not how I work. However, it occurs to me that you might be served with a designer for a day service. It's a one off service, it's 3K. This is what you get. And from that, you can use that to build on next year or the year after when you're really ready, serious to do the project, whatever the circumstances are.
Right.
And then
That's
what
good.
happens is you say to them, I'm going to give you a specific URL to go to see the description to designer for a day for services.
Right.
And what I would do is I would connect a cart to it because I'm not going to talk to you 16 times about if designer for a day is good for
Right.
you. I've talked to you once. If you like it, go cart out, pay the
Pay
3K
it.
and
Yep.
we'll make an appointment,
And
right?
thank you, my Doma, for that, because
Exactly.
that's what I thank you.
There
Yeah.
you go. There you go. Right. So you don't even have to go pay a webmaster
No.
to develop that. I love that. But do you see that if you
That's
are past the hump in that business where you consistently are paying yourself, you really do have a more or less consistent pipeline, but every once in a while, like I said, those big firms where their projects are multiple six figures into the millions, they will look around. And if there are multiple sets, and the thing is to you, I'm going to interrupt myself in my train of thought here. You can be like, I have a full service client that is on the books, paid, but we're not starting until July. And I have no inquiries now. And I could do designer for a day for this one, get it done and over with before July even
mm,
comes. Let me
mm,
grab that 3K, right? But
okay.
you're deciding who. You're not letting them decide
Okay.
because not everybody understands. Like the difference. The person who's going to take designer for today a day and then send you 50 emails for a year. You're like, sweetie, that's not the
It's
agreement.
like, no, we're not.
No, that's
We're
not
not
that's
doing
not the
that.
agreement, right? But you every once in a while you get that gut check. Your inside voice says, yeah, I could do it with this
Yeah,
person. They're reasonable, they're rational, and why not make 3K next week? I'm open,
exactly.
right? And I know the big firms will do this. They might have if they have 10 design teams, if every design team is busy and a full like a one room for a repeat client comes in, they'll even say to that one room repeat client, yes, and we'll start in August. Right. But if
Mm,
they've got 10 design teams and three are, wrapping up projects and really nothing big on the plate, they'll be like, yes, and we'll start you next week. But they don't advertise it.
right. That's so good. I
Right.
never looked at it that way.
Yeah. So I would love for you to I do think you need to do some you may look again. If we had 3 hours together today, I would feel more confident with much more questions if you actually do have your ideal client and project identified.
Yes, ma'am.
That's your homework. You just
Okay.
double check that you have. And each of these ladies that do copywriting that we've interviewed on the show, I'm aware, at least off the top of my head, three out of four of them definitely do a discovery process to confirm before they
Right.
do all this work with you. And the fourth, I can't imagine that she doesn't as well. I just don't actually recall it off the top of my head.
Right.
And so getting very clear with this filter, with this filter. Now, every single page on your website has to be filtered through. Is this talking to only this person? And don't be afraid to talk to the one person. You're in San Antonio, Texas. I mean, there's probably 5,000 of that one
Yes.
person.
Yeah.
You need 10,
That's it.
right? Like,
That's it.
right. Like, and this game that people do of, "Oh, I don't wanna leave that one off the table. I wanna make sure that one knows that they're welcome too." Screw it.
No.
They're not
Yeah.
welcome. They go away. And what
Right.
I love for designers to do is I love for you to have a community of colleagues and peers. So whether you learn them from coming to my events, Power Talk Friday events, which by the way, I'm gonna be in Dallas. You should come to that, okay?
I know. I saw
Right? Duh, I
that.
just said it out loud.
Gosh
I'm like,
darn
"Wait a second."
it.
Right? But the thing is, whether you join IDS in
Yes.
Texas or whatever, or the Mydoma community, wherever you find your peers, it's always very helpful to get to know them on a level where you understand what their services are,
Okay.
because you need people to refer out to.
That part.
Right? So, like, if
Yes.
somebody when you dial in on who your
Oof.
ideal client
Yes.
is and somebody gets through the hatch somehow and you're like, "What are you doing here? We're all oranges. You're an apple. Go away." You wanna be able to say, "Hey, but my friend Sally, she's an Apple. She loves Apple design. Go to her." You know what I
I
mean?
love it.
Because that is the best way to make a really nice impression on that potential client,
Right.
because you're giving them a good resource, a good place to go, a trusted colleague, and what happens is, because she's an apple, but her best friend might be an orange, and
Yeah.
so,
Right.
the orange is gonna come back to you, you know?
Come back to me. Come back.
Yeah. I
Yes.
mean, it's kinda think about, like, with me with
Yeah.
the podcast. I've got Nancy Ganscover, Tracy
Yeah.
Connell, Sandra Funk, Vita Vykovska, like, the John McClain, like, I could just get all of the coaches, Andrea Libros, Kay Whitaker, like Michelle Williams. I I bring all of the business coaches to me.
You do.
I want them all to be here because I can't help everybody,
Right.
and I have no desire
Nor should
to.
you. Right.
Right. That's why I asked you, "How are you feeling right now?" And you gave the perfect response. "I'm a kinda nervous, but I'm prepared.
A little
Like,
bit.
I know you're not gonna bull crap me around here."
Nope.
Right?
Don't have time for that. Tell me the
No.
truth.
Right. And so this is a free strategy session, right? But, like, if I'm vetting you, just like you're vetting your clients, the person who says to me, "Well, I just don't understand. Everybody I've worked with, no one has ever helped me." "Oh, okay, sweetie. You're a yeah, but girl. Thanks so much. Chairman of the board is closed."
Right. Bye-bye. Okay.
Right.
Take care
So
then. Bye-bye.
so my point is that in both the podcast, I'm teaching and helping and supporting interior designers to be profitable and happy in running their businesses.
Yes, ma'am.
It's the same. Or do you think website developers couldn't learn from this? Do you think photographers couldn't? Right?
Come
But
on.
I'm staking the claim. This is who I'm talking to. And then further up the pipeline, as you get closer and work with me or individually, it gets even tighter who I work
Mm,
with.
mm.
But I have all of my experts. I'm like, "Hey, Nancy is your girl. Sandra's your girl,"
Yep.
because I want you to get the help and get the thing. So I want you to kind of think of, you've been inside the podcast business model for 4 years. Now kind of look at it objectively
Okay.
and then apply
Okay.
that to your business. Who do I really want to talk to? And I can't be
Ooh.
afraid. Who am I really? This military background, what does it do? Do I run a job like a drill sergeant? I don't know. Do you? Or do you run it like a general where it's like, I'm quiet but fierce. Like, I don't know. What are
Mm.
the different personas of the
Right,
military?
right.
Right?
I walk around with my big stick.
That's
Yeah.
it. That's it. I don't use it a lot,
I
but
don't
everybody's
use it.
afraid when I do, if I will, right? So, but is that all helpful to you, Melissa? Did it make sense?
Every ounce, every kernel, every nugget I love you.
Okay.
And this is one of the reasons why I love you is because you tell the truth. I don't want somebody to tell me what they think I want to hear. Like honestly, Luann, I've never had anybody tell me specifically about my copy or my messaging, right? I mean, you hear about it, but I've never had someone directly say, "Hey, you know what, Melissa? I was on your website and I know that you said that you want to work with this client, but I'm like confused."
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
but I need it was kind of like, ouch, but you know what? But thank you.
Yeah.
Because how do I fix it when I don't know? Because I'm not going to see it through your lenses.
Right.
We look at ourselves and we kind of critique ourselves differently than somebody on the outside looking in. So although I'm saying ouch and I'm like, ooh, inside, but then I'm like, Luann, thank you.
Yeah.
Because now I have the diagnosis,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
I
Right.
have the diagnosis. Now I know what I need to go do to fix that,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
try to, to try to help get better and not be sick in that area
Yes.
anymore, right?
Exactly.
Woo.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
so no, this was exactly what I needed. And can I just tell you, I was actually really, I'm just kind of sharing my heart here, but I was nervous about putting that out there because I was
Mm.
like, I don't, not that I really care about what other people think, but we're still human. And there's some of that, a little bit of that like embarrassment, kind of like I'm being vulnerable right now and I'm telling you what I'm struggling with. I don't have it all together. I don't know everything. I don't know what I'm doing
Right.
sometimes, right? I'm trying to figure it out. And so I was nervous about kind of saying, okay, Luann, this is what I'm struggling with. And but I feel so much better. I'm so glad that I did because you've given me clarity, you've given me direction, and you've given me truth. And that's exactly what I want.
That's awesome.
Even
That's
if it
awesome.
hurts,
Yeah.
even if it stings a little, but we need to feel that sting because how do we change anything?
Right.
So thank
Right.
you. I love
Well,
you.
I thank you, and I'm so grateful that you took it in the frame of mind, in support of you, right? Because it's not a
Yes.
criticism, and
No.
the truth is, you this is why I have my advisors around me. You are not a unicorn in this. We all have we all have moments daily, weekly, monthly, where we're feel like, is this working? Am I doing the right thing? What is it? I mean, listen to me. Like, we have literally daily conversations on, is the message coming out right? Like, is this really what we want to say? Are we talking to the pain point that an interior
Yeah.
designer is experiencing? Because what happens is we come from it from our internal bias. I have a saying here in my business. I'll look at a website landing page as somebody, that 13 people have their hand on, and then they look at me and they want me to approve it. And I'm just like, this is a case of, we all know too much. I'm like, we didn't even
Mm,
say, blah, 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 or like, it happens. Like, I did a sales copy email about 3 weeks ago about Power Talk Friday. And I wrote the email. And now the email comes to my inbox like 3 weeks later. And I open the email and I read it. And I'm just like, oh my God, I never told them what this was. I went right into, and I just like
oh.
sent it over to Diana. And I was like, I know I wrote this, but flag this. This is wrong. This is
Wow.
dumb. This is not clear. It's not until the third sentence do I express the clarity of what this email is about. So you, my dear, are no different than the rest of us. We are too close to our own stuff to see it.
Yes,
And that
ma'am.
is the value of
It's
having
true.
people around you that will come to you with love and respect and your best interest at heart, to just look and say, am I conveying what I'm trying to convey? But I just leave you with it. Go back to, be sure of what you are trying to convey before you rip this website apart and redo it. Okay.
Okay.
Because
Yes,
you
ma'am.
have lots of good stuff. It's a lot of either or. So which one is staying and which one is going?
Make a decision. That poop
That's
or get
it.
off the pot. What are you
That's
doing?
it.
What are you
That's
doing?
it. That's it. That's it. So,
Thank you so
well,
much. I
well, I
appreciate you.
appreciate you. I appreciate you
Yes,
having the
ma'am.
courage to share
Thank
your struggle
you.
with us and to do it with me here on air. It's awesome. I
Thank
would
you.
love for you. It might take a week, it might take a month, it might take 6 months, but send me the link to the revised. I'd
I
love to see
will.
it.
I
Okay.
was going to ask you too. If I send it to you, will you take a look at it and give me
1000%.
honest feedback? I love it. Thank you.
But here's the thing, you got to
Uh oh.
send it to info, hello at Luann
Yes,
Nagara,
yes,
to
yes.
Mariali, and
Okay.
say,
She's
I'm
great.
Melissa. She said she would read this.
Please remind her.
Exactly.
You got a deal. It's a deal. Thank you,
All
Luann.
right,
You're
sweetie.
amazing.
Thank
Thank you so
you. I
much. I
appreciate you.
appreciate it. Thank you.